In this video, I'm going to cover two different techniques for encoding categorical variables in Python. Now, why would we do that in the first place? The answer is that while very descriptive, categorical variables are difficult to use in most statistical tests. By encoding categorical variables in quote-unquote numerical ways, we can make them easier to use. Now let's get coding. If you've been following along with my previous videos, this code and dataset will look familiar. All we have done so far is just import some data and deal with any missing values. If you want to learn how to do that more in depth, see my previous videos. Now let's run our previous code and take a look at our dataset. Now, what we have here are two categorical columns, country and purchased. The two methods I'm going to go over are one-hot encoding and label encoding. Both ways involve replacing strings, such as France or Spain, with number equivalents. The most common way you're probably going to want to encode categorical variables is the one-hot encoding method. What this does is it creates a new column for each category with a 1 for true and a 0 for false. For example, if we one-hot encoded the country column, it would create new columns for each country, then use a 1 or 0 for if a given observation is one of those countries. The alternative to one-hot encoding, called label encoding, involves simply replacing each category with a number. So for country, it looks something like replacing France with 1, and Spain with 2, and Germany with 3, etc., so on. The reason we avoid this method a lot of the time is because of the possibility of Python thinking that Spain, for example, is twice as big as France because it's encoded as a 2 and France is a 1. So with that in mind, we're going to look at how to one-hot encode. So this is what you would do. We're going to use the pandas get dummies function. And we're just going to put in country for where we'd put in the column. You could put whatever column you want to use. And you could also put in a prefix, but I just want the different columns just to be the names of the different countries. So I put nothing here. And so let's run it. Take a look at our data set. And as you can see, we don't have a column called country anymore, but now we have 3 columns, one for each type of country. So we have France, Germany, and Spain. And as you can see, if it's a 1, this means this observation, for example, was France. And this one was also France. And if you look at this one, like observation number 2 is Germany, because there's a 1 there, 0 is for the other one. So pretty simple. That's how that works. Now, for the purchased variable, I'm actually going to label encode it. Although, again, we could use one-hot encoding and be just fine here. The idea is that what I want to do with this data set is see how other variables affect whether or not customers made a purchase. Like if we look at our data set, we have our purchase column. We want to know what factors are probably causing that, like age, salary, etc. Okay. So what this means is that the purchase column is going to be like our dependent variable. So when we run our tests, it won't be misread as an integer and will keep its unique values. So it's totally fine just to label encode here. Just replace the no's with 0s, for example, and the yeses with 1s. And so this is how we would do that. We'd first create a label encoder, which we have to import up here. So you're going to have to add this to your list of imports. Okay. So go back, we make our label encoder, and then use this bit of code here, putting in the name of our column, which we want to use, which is purchased. That's what we're encoding. And we highlight that, F9, run it. Let's look at our data set again. And as you can see in our purchase column, we have 0s and 1s instead of no's and yeses. And just like that, we've encoded categorical variable for our data set. That's the end of my video, and thank you for watching.